Good morning, everyone. My name is Krupa Patel, and today's session is about understanding the Early Years Learning Framework version 2.0, also known as EVALF v2.0, and how assessment and the teaching learning cycle contribute to effective curriculum decision making. EVALF v2.0 guides our practices through key principles, practices, and 5 broad learning outcomes supporting children from birth to 5 years. Assessment is not only about trying to evaluate all children out, but to see and appreciate their learning process. It helps educators be intentional, inclusive, and responsive. Rather than teaching in a one-size-fits-all way, we use data gathered through assessment to understand each child's learning journey. This allows us to plan experiences that meet their unique developmental needs. In this process, families, educators, and the broader community are actively involved. As Shufama highlighted, collaboration ensures learning is not only child-centered but also culturally relevant and developmentally appropriate. There are 3 key approaches to assessment in early childhood: formative, summative, and diagnostic. First one is formative. Formative assessment is carried out during students' interactions and participation in daily tasks. Information source can be acquired through observation, verbal communication, and examination of students and students' works. It makes us observe children, what they focus on, and their difficulties at learning in real time. It provides for the opportunity to engage in the process of planning on the spur of the moment and simultaneously fosters purposeful teaching. Examples include learning stories and anecdotal records. There are good relationships between educators and the children, and the learning process is easily explained for families and peers. Summative assessment takes place at the end of a learning cycle or a given period and aims to assess the amount of learning that a child has or has not made. It is a tool for summarizing what a child has achieved across various developmental domains. It is commonly employed in a transport annual reports, or it can be applied as an interim report to families when giving an overview of the progress. It is not as common as formative assessment but offers a picture which is valuable in goal setting and the long range planning. It also enhances the issue of accountability in addition to serving the purpose of whole service reflection and enhancement. There is a diagnostic assessment that is taken when a child, for example, when joining a new class or a teacher has some worry about the specific child. The analysis also rates students' strengths and identifies delays or the need for additional help. It relates to early correction or prevention since the result produced and displayed help identify necessary alterations. In the process of decision making, the families and other specialists are involved in our work in a careful way to avoid biased decision making in order to favor each child. Each type of assessment works in a harmony with the others for goal implementation success. When used together, they present a complete picture of the child's learning abilities. It is this balance that keeps us focused in having a program diverse and adequately addressed. In this way, we value the educational context for all the learners and reflect EVALF v2.0 and give equal opportunities. It also enhances practice, communication, and relationship with the families as well as encourages professional analysis. Let's look deeper into the teaching learning cycle. The teaching learning cycle is the pulse of effective early childhood care and education and can be described as a teaching learning process which encompasses everything that takes place between the teacher or childcare and education providers and the young child to guide his or her learning and development throughout the day. Observing and identifying helps in a planning and putting into the practice what is expected to be learned. Claiming that each item could be a container for the next award promoting economic sustainability. We proceed to analyze and assess to guide our actions. It also guarantees that the teaching done is informed by the cycle and evidence. It is continuous and assists the educator in relating to the children and change in the children's needs as well as interest. EYLF V2.0 underpins all programs we implement. It is the Australian framework. EYLF V2.0 is more than just outcomes. Our teaching is shaped by principles such as high expectations, equity, and respect for diversity. It encompasses a concept called 5 learning outcomes and has principles such as partnerships and high expectations and cultural and linguistic competence. For instance, planning a group play activity that includes culturally relevant materials help build identity and belonging while also meeting learning outcomes. This includes the practices like intentional teaching and learning through play enable one to interact with the children in the mentioned way. As educators, the graduate teacher standards define also our profession. The fifth standard particularly deals with the evaluation of learning and use of such evaluation to enhance teaching. This include knowing how children learn, knowing what to teach and how, planning and implementing effective teaching and assessing and reporting. They challenge us to act professionally, especially in our thinking, motivation, and behavior as educators. This way of approaching assessment as connected with the teaching strategies respects profession's standards, fosters improvement, and encourages teacher to include all the children in decision-making process to fulfill their unique potentials. Assessment data should inform our teaching. We look for patterns in learning and development to personalize learning plans. It is used to plan, to evaluate, and to change the programming. Families have better understanding about the interests and behavior of children and their way of living as well. For example, if a child is showing signs of a speech delay, we can work with the families and specialists to develop supportive strategies in our planning. It enhances the planning process and confirms that education should be valuable and interesting. Combined, this builds collaboration and guarantees engagement together with the children are culturally sensitive and meets their developmental needs. The overall process of overseeing is considered to be important and reviewing is one of the stages of it. Therefore, the main trend we consider here is the assessment of how efficient the implemented strategies are as well as their adequacy to cater for children's needs. The attorneys also discuss the assessment outcomes, feedback, and observation made during the process. Then simply adapt whether it is for the environment or the timetable or mode of teaching. This is an effective means for maintaining the interest and difficulty of the learning process and for constant improvement of the teaching and learning process. Here are the references used to support the information in the presentation. They provide useful insights into the current research and professional expectations in early childhood assessment and pedagogy. To conclude, assessment in early childhood is not just about collecting data. It is about understanding children, planning meaningfully, and teaching responsively. When aligned with the EVAL FV 2.0 and graduate teacher standards, assessment become a powerful tool for shaping quality early learning experiences. Thank you for listening.